moved into the North Perth area in 1987. I'd been living down in Fremantle and Cottesloe. America's Cup. I was a victim of the Cup. I was out of there. So I moved up this way where we were able to get a rental and live, because you certainly couldn't do it down there anymore. And I've lived in the area ever since. So I've been in Carr Street, I've been in Venn Street, I've been around all the streets around and about, and I am well and truly somebody who gets seen around and about a lot. Everybody knows me by name, whether it's the butcher or the whatever. I'm very well known. So there's always a hello Mrs. Hart or a hello Paula, whatever. So we had a post office, the North Perth Post Office, and I definitely, we've had some great people there over the years, and I very much was always known as and greeted as Mrs. Hart. Never been married, but I was still Mrs. Hart. Anyhow, so you know, the neighbourhood and the whatever, and everything's going along, you know, as sort of expected, maybe, until we got some new people at our North Perth Post Office, and at that point everything got a little unpredictable. So, I think it was December 2019, and sorry, I'm still a little bit shaken up from the last two. Sorry. Anyhow, it was December 2019, and I'd been having problems getting some mail. Mail just hadn't been turning up, and a friend of mine sent a photograph of a large box with big letters, Heart, written on it. And I went, oh great, there's mail for me. So I trotted down to the post office. I went with my daughter, and we had our dog at the time who was very large and very pregnant. It was one of those really 40-degree days. It's stinking hot. We all go into the cool of the post office, and we're all chatting to everybody, and it's all very nice, chat, or he's patting the dog. And we get to the front, and that woman just goes, get that dog out of here. So, I've just come to collect my mail. It's Heart, it's that one there, and I'm pointing to the big red, and she brings it over, and then really embarrassingly, it's for a different Heart. So, it's a little bit of confusion, whatever. I'm saying, but I am expecting mail, and she's sort of fussing around. I'm saying, can you get some out of the back? But I haven't got a card, and we're really going sort of a bit backwards and forwards here, and it's getting all a little. And she's going, but why do you think that you have mail? And I show her the photo of the box, and she just starts screaming at me. No, not sort of cross. She is screaming at me. You know, you're ruining, you're violating these people's privacy. You can't take photos of other people's mail. You're breaking the law. Get out of my store right now, or I am calling the police. And I'm like, well, I can get rid of the photo. It's fine. I'm just here to collect some. No, not going to happen. She is furious. The dog's outside. It's 40 degrees. We're going to come back on another day when we've got our correct card. Okay, off we go. Anyhow, so it's now mid-January, and we get you've got mail. It's registered mail. Go down and collect your 18 tickets to all the Fringe World shows. And I am really excited, because it's a really exciting bit of package, except for the fact that I'm really sick. So I'm on the couch. I say to my daughter, look, can you go and get the mail? And we know that this duo down there, they're a bit sticklers, so I make sure she's got her ID. She takes my ID. Off she goes down to collect the mail. Now, not only that, she's also got... We had a Fringe performer staying with us at the time. We had Daddo the Clown. So we've got the Hunchback Clown. He's also collecting mail, so he's got his thing. So it's actually my daughter and the clown and their cards go down to get the mail. Okay, so next thing she's back, she's in tears. No, they're not going to accept her Smart Rider, despite the fact that it's got her photo on it, address, birthday, whatever. Apparently it's not a legal form of whatever. So I write a little note, sign it, can she do? So she goes back, she comes back a little while later in tears again. No, they're not letting her get this mail. Okay, get out of bed. Now, I so remember this. I never go anywhere without shoes. I literally, climb out of the couch. I get down there. I'm barefoot. I'm really frustrated. I get to the front of the queue and I say, I've come here to collect my mail, and I pass him the card. And I said, look, I don't really know what's going on. My daughter's been down here twice. It very clearly says you can send somebody else to get your mail. This is, And he just immediately starts having a go at me. Well, you're a very difficult person. You come in here and you're a difficult woman. I'm like, okay. Look. And then he starts accusing me of, apparently the last time I was in there, we had stolen things. Some boys had stolen sunglasses or whatever. And I'm going, hang on. I've done nothing wrong here. I've come to collect my mail. I don't have boys. I was actually out of town last week. So, look, here's my card. Here's my identification. I've just come to collect my mail. To which he calls me a fucking bitch. Gets my card, tears it up, throws it in the air, and tells me to get the fuck out of his store. It's the post office. I'm really, this is a little unpredictable. I'm not expecting this. Anyhow, so I kind of keep keep calm. Look, I've just come to collect my mail. Now that you've torn up my card, what am I meant to do? You can get your fucking mail from the, return to sender sort of thing. And I'm like, what is going on? This is insane. So I'm really trying to stand my ground and just say, look, I have done nothing wrong. You've torn up my card. I need to collect my mail. He comes round the front and he is now in my face. There's a queue. There's also his son, like a 10-year-old in the store, all this. And he is now bellowing at me, get out of this store. Get out of it. And he's like spitting in my face. Okay, so this now is really weird. This is not what I'm expecting. This is not what you do. And I am feeling really, really vulnerable. Okay, it's time to retreat. So I turn, and as I start to walk out, he calls me a fucking whore. And why don't I just save everybody's time and slit my throat? So I walk out, and I'm like, I'm shaking more than I'm shaking with nerves here. Like, I'm really shaking. So I don't really understand. It's the post office thing. I get home. It's the post office. I get home and I'm going, okay, nobody speaks to me like that. So I ring the police and I ring and I send a thing through the Australia Post website thing. So of course there's a couple of emails and they go back and forth and it's probably written by an AI bot. There's really whatever. And then the police sort of say, well, there's nothing really that we can do because there was no witnesses. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got to do this carefully. So I go really politely onto the Facebook group. You had an incident the other day, just wondering if anybody sort of, maybe noticed what went on. So I'm not saying anything, I'm not, whatever, I'm just being really... 87 responses. Oh my God. There were little old ladies who'd been in tears, there'd been this, they'd had people coming in the middle of the night putting weird... there were some weird, aggressive, just weird stories. And there was lists of them. So it's like, what? This is insane. Anyhow, so we're all quite confused. And it's my fringe tickets. We've got 18 shows. There's all these tickets to get. So anyhow, next minute, Dave calls. Dave is a representative from the Australia Post, and he's saying it's all fine. I will go and collect your mail, and I'll deliver it to you. Great, thanks, Dave. Anyhow, Dave calls back. He says, well, they're a piece of work. They told me to fuck off. So we're like, oh, okay. So he says, look, it's fine. I'll get the proper paperwork. I'll go back. It'll all be fine. Anyhow, he calls back. He had the proper paperwork. Yeah, they told him to fuck off. So he goes, Dave calls back. He says, right, I've just been down to the post office. There was Dave. There was a more senior representative from Australia Post. They had the paperwork and they had 2 police officers to collect my mail. So he says they were now not going to give me or give them my mail because I had slandered them on Facebook. To which the police officer says, well, if it's the truth, it's not really slander. And then they were all told to fuck off. So they all left. So this is getting really weird. So now there's actually a process. So now Dave says, okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to wait. We've got the process to happen. So you've received You've Got Mail. 5 days later, you're meant to get another one. 10 days later, you're meant to get something now that says, the thing's been returned to sender. All those things are meant to happen. So, of course, none of those things happened. So now Dave calls back. Dave was calling really regularly by this stage. So Dave calls back and he says, okay, it is now officially mail tampering. So we've got to do something here. The problem is that most people just kind of go, it's too hard, just go to a different post office, get your stuff in a postal box or whatever. He says, what we need is an ally. And I say, I'm your girl. So he says, right, are you prepared to talk to the lawyers? I said, you betcha. So next thing, we've got the Australia Post lawyers coming to our house. And hours and hours of getting all the information. They're interviewing me, they're interviewing my daughter Ava, there's stat decks, there's all this paperwork being done about our Fringe tickets, which by now actually Fringe has happened and the tickets, we've got the tickets. That was all okay, we went to all the shows. But we've now got to deal with the fact that this weirdness is happening. So anyhow, he's all that goes and whatever. And then a couple of months goes past. And then Dave calls back. So it's gone through the courts. They have lost their licence to run a post office. Yay. But they won't give up the lease on the building that the post office was in. So they can't be the post office, but we can't get a new post office in there. We can't get new owners in there. And if the whole neighbourhood was a bit peeved before that we had this mum and pop who are really kind of pretty out there, now we've got no post office. So now we've got just there's letters of complaint going everywhere, letters to John Kerry, letters to, whatever, letters to letters, there's letters. And it's all going a bit crazy. So then the next thing, which is really weird, is the people who had the post office now open a pet food store in the old post office, which of course nobody in the community is going to go to because we're just not going to go there. Never saw anybody in there ever. And then there was a post office, a little temporary one down the road. And I've still got Dave calling. So now Dave's calling and he's going, so they've got security down there because apparently the staff are getting harassed. The bins are getting, whatever's happening to the bins. But the best one is, overnight, regularly, they are getting their door of the post office super glued closed. Really, this is not what you're expecting with your local post office. Anyhow, a couple of months more went past, and eventually actually could have even been a year. Eventually, the pet food store closed, and who knows where the owners went. And then there was that Pal and Panther that was around on Angove Street. Well, they moved out, and eventually we got a new post office around the corner. And there's no real big ending to my story. It's just basically that's what happens when you stand up and just go, no, I will not tolerate this. That is the poor behaviour, poor whatever. they might look after, they might have had problems about it, but who knows what was going on. But it is actually really important sometimes to just stand up. And that's how we've now got the gorgeous Zeta and Ralph. They're at our local post office. And you know what? They always welcome my dog. And they always call me Mrs. Hart.